I'm partially embarrassed about asking you the next question because that's my societal conditioning. But I'm not asking you from a society perspective. I'm asking you from a very human life perspective.
Sure.
Okay. I think that because you are a renunciant and you've studied the Shastras as much as you have, you are the one person or one of the people who's capable of giving a correct Shastra based opinion on sexuality, which consumes so many people's journeys in so many ways. For example, I'm not just talking about the act of sex.
Right.
I'm talking about the drive for sexuality,
Mm.
which then becomes kind of cosmetic, kind of material. I need to accumulate wealth to be more attractive. I need to get this procedure to be more attractive and look younger. It's all driven by sexuality.
Mm.
So I would love to get to know a monk's perspective on both the act of sex
Right.
and casual sex, because it is a truth of our times,
Mhm.
as well as the process of sexuality in general.
Right.
Because that's a big part of renunciation.
Yes.
So the further you get from it, the more you see it from a distance, and perhaps the more you understand it.
Right. I think it's a very important question. And let me begin by saying that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshabha. That I am sex life, which is as per the principles of Dharma, which means that sex life by itself is also a very dharmic process of how we can fulfill the desires of the Lord of creating progeny in this world. So, having given those framing statements, let me come to the quote from Mahabharata which says, Ahara, Nidra, Bhay, Maithunam cha, Samana etat pashubhir naranam. Eating, sleeping, mating, which is sex life, and defense or fearing. These four are common to humans and animals. So if you see these four, out of these four, if you see the animals, you may see some animals are grazing. So there is no time limit for their grazing. From morning till night, searching for food because they have been made and designed like that. Nidra also, sleeping, mating. So there is fixed times where you can do all those things. But one thing which is common, which is constant within all of us, is fearing, bhai. So there is a starting time to eating, ending time to eating, and sleeping and mating. But for fearing, there is no starting ending time. So out of the four, the most difficult to overcome is fearing, bhai. Now, when you do not do these other three properly, if your eating is not proper, then it creates disease which may increase bhai. If your sleeping is not proper, you are thinking I am Superman, Superwoman, no need to sleep at night. Night is for remaining awake, day is for sleeping. You do for some time. Nowadays you see the trends, heart attacks at 30s, 40s because of lack of sleep. In Japan, companies had to incentivize employees that those who will sleep 5.5, 6 hours, they will get this much cash, they will get promotions, this, that, go to sleep. So when you don't go to sleep properly, then also fear of disease, fear of heart attack, so much. Similarly, sex life also. If we don't do that properly, as per the injunctions described in the revealed scriptures, then it increases our bhai or fear. So therefore, the next line of this shloka says, Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhis samana. That if one is focused only on these four, then one is kind of like animal. But what separates human beings from other animals is in human life, we can engage in spiritual inquisitiveness. Otherwise, all species are doing only two things: asking questions and getting answers. Questions and answers. Right? So, therefore, Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbhir lokamangalam Yat krita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. So every species is engaged in only asking questions and working to getting answers to those questions. What are those questions in every species? Where is food? Where is sleep? Where is sex life? And where is security and shelter against fear? These are the typical questions. This is the base level questions. Now, in human form of life, we give sophisticated dimensions to these questions. But at the basic level, these are the questions.
Wow.
You are thinking, oh, where is my property? 2 BHK, 3 BHK, rental, ownership, mortgage, this, that. But ultimately, it is shelter. Bhai, how to protect myself, where I can have nidra peacefully, So, clothing, this, that, everything is centered around these four only. The animals just go and do it. Human beings discuss, plan, and then do it. And then they don't realize that they are meant to do something beyond these four. That is called dharmo hitesham. So therefore, Vedanta Sutra begins with the understanding athatho brahma jigyasa. The core business in human form of life is to inquire about my spiritual journey and how to help the soul go beyond taking bodies. And that is what is known as moksha or mukti or whatever. Now, the problem is when people don't ask that question, athato brahma jigyasa. What is that question? There are 5 questions related to brahma jigyasa. Where is my soul now? Number 2, where is my soul going to go destination after death? Number 3, what will be the experience of my soul in that destination? Number 4, what is the path I want the soul to take to reach that destination? Number 5, what are the obstacles in my soul's journey? These 5 are considered part of what is known as Brahma Jigyasa.
Curiosity about
the journey of the soul. Just like you are looking forward, I want to go to Switzerland. So you are looking at, okay, I'm in Mumbai, my destination is Switzerland. Okay, should I ski in the Alps? Should I go to Geneva? Be part of World Economic Forum? So these are different experiences. Then, okay, should I take Swiss Air? Should I take Lufthansa? Should I take this, that? It is the journey. Okay, I don't have a visa. Oh, it's an obstacle in the journey. So all these are part of the journey for the body. Similarly, for the soul also, one is expected to do such a serious planning about the journey after death as we make plans for our vacations and holiday destinations. So therefore, when we are constantly planning about the journey of the soul, then that becomes your main focus. And then everything else is supposed to support that. Like you are day and night absorbed in one thought, how to create quality content. How can Ranveer create quality content to contribute to the peace and harmony and happiness of this world? That's your meditation. So for you, then the food becomes a supporting thing.
Yeah.
You need to keep your throat warm, so you need some hot water. You need to have a place to stay, but your meditation is on this. Everything else takes a supporting role. So therefore, when one prioritizes dharma, sanatan dharma, spirituality, and that experience of the destination of the soul, then ahara has to support that moksha. Nidra has to support the moksha. Bhay has to support the moksha. Maithun has to support that moksha. Because if it does not, it will hinder that particular objective.
Ahar is?
Ahar is food, eating.
So food, sleep?
Food. Ahar is food. Nidra is sleeping. Bhay is fearing insecurities, dangers, various kinds of attacks. And Maithun is sex life. So all these 4 become subservient to the original idea of how we can achieve that destination spiritually. So therefore, in the scriptures, It is enjoined that as soon as you reprioritize, people say, should I be vegetarian, non-vegetarian? Should I sleep 4 hours, 8 hours? Should I, have girlfriends and have sex? Or, should I get married? Or, what do you think about abstinence, continence, brahmacharya, this, that, everything? I said, those are all secondary things. It's like saying, should I take Lufthansa? Should I take Air India? Should I take Cathay Pacific? Should I take Swiss Air? Baba, what is your destination? First decide the destination. Once destination is decided, then all the other details of the journey, they fall backwards. So you have to work backwards with the destination first. So when you are talking to me, then you are assuming that someone who's taking spiritual journey very seriously and spiritual destination very seriously. So the responses of such a person towards eating will be from the perspective of spiritual destination. The response of a spiritualist like me, who is focused on the spiritual destination, will be different when you ask about sleeping. Yukta hara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu, Krishna says in Gita. The sleeping must be moderate, not too extreme, not too much, not too little. It must be in such a way that timing of the sleep should be such that you are waking up at a time which supports that spiritual destination. Then your fearing should be such that I fear things which will distract my mind. I fear things which will inhibit my journey towards remembrance of Krishna. And similarly, Maithun or sex life should also be in such a way, it should not inhibit and dampen the progress of my journey towards that spiritual destination. So the boxer's diet and the gymnast diet is different because their destination is different. So accordingly, everything flows. So now, for somebody who has that spiritual destination, from that perspective, the sex life becomes an attendant duty to perform as a service to the Lord. And that is what Krishna is saying in this verse. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshabha. In all traditions, in the faith traditions, sex life has always been considered to be a process by which we serve the Supreme Lord, we serve the society by becoming agents and instruments to bring in souls into this world in a divine consciousness, so that that soul is able to accomplish the destination of spirituality. And therefore, we have Shodash samskars, 16 samskaras in Vedic tradition. So one of the samskaras is the Garbhadhan samskara, where the divine soul is invoked, divinity is invoked, so that even before impregnation of the husband, by the husband to the wife, there are various rituals which are done. And when the act of sex life actually happens, so auspicious souls are invoked to come and be part of the womb. So that is known as Garbhadhan Sanskara. Then once that Sanskara is done, then when the soul is in the womb and in a particular month, around 7th or 8th month, they do what is known as Simanta Unnayasa Samskara, which means all the positive energies are invoked on that particular soul which is within the womb, so that all the blessings come upon that soul. And then when the soul actually comes out, when the birth happens, then there is a Jata Karma Sanskara. And then immediately after that, there is Vidyarambha, Chudakarna, various kinds of sanskaras where education begins. So the whole idea is to transform the impressions. What is the transformation of impression? Basic idea through the sanskara. Samskara means a method by which impressions on the mind are replaced. You are deleting old files and replacing those old files with new files. Old memories replaced with new memories, new impressions, new narratives, new priorities. And how does that happen? Through the process of chanting of the mantras and exposing to various kinds of rituals. So the main impression we want to change is, I am the controller, I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer. That is the typical narrative which the conditioned soul carries. It is called mithya abhiman, mithya ahankar, false ego, to be replaced with the real ego, which is Bhoktaram Yagyasapatam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. The Supreme Ishwar is the controller, he is the proprietor, he is the enjoyer, I am the servant. So, therefore, that's what these sanskaras aim to achieve through this. So, many people feel this is all rituals and this and that. No. In Vedic Sanatan Dharma, all these were connected to each other in one beautiful, seamless method by which the entire society, like a relay race, was helping the soul's consciousness to elevate from here to there. And every member in society played a part. In fact, even before my birth, my mother was sharing in an interview some months ago that there was a whole group of ladies who were chanting Shankaracharya's Saundarya Lahari shlokas just one day before I was born. So all of those are powerful impact. In fact, there is an interesting story that a lady was pregnant and she would see a particular television serial on a regular basis. And when she gave birth to this child would keep crying and would become quiet only when that serial would be switched on. So therefore, when you speak about sex from the perspective of those who are practicing or wanting to achieve something spiritual, that being their priority, they focus on their priority, that becomes their sadhana, to get that dhan, and they give less priority to these other things and align these activities with that priority. Like somebody is in Kota studying for IIT, may not watch movies for months together. So it's not that, the movies don't give pleasure, but the movies give pleasure, but he has decided to abnegate that pleasure to the higher pleasure, which he will get when the results are announced and he says, oh, you are in the top 100 in IIT. That pleasure he is prioritizing over the pleasure of watching a movie. So if people say, hey, what do you mean sex doesn't have pleasure or what? Ye kya baatein kar rahe ho aap? So no, there is pleasure in the act of sex. But when a person prioritizes spiritual life, so that pleasure, when the soul gets connected to the super soul through an eternal relationship, it releases a certain degree and quantum and quality of pleasure, which is far superior to the pleasure of sex. And that's what has inspired people through millennia to be able to control sex life and prioritize spiritual pleasure. So therefore, we should never think that this can be done artificially. A person cannot be sitting in Kota, not studying for IIT, and just say that I will not watch movie, I will not watch movie. No, his not watching movie is directly interlinked with his prioritizing, his absorption in studying his syllabus and writing the test so that he qualifies in the IIT.
Like, as a human, you'll always have that urge to do something.
Yes.
So transfer that urge to the higher goal.
Exactly. So Krishna says in Gita that nahi tishtati kshanamapi jatu tishtati, that nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. We cannot remain without activity even for one moment. Even for one moment, we cannot remain inactive. Therefore, dovetailing is important. Sublimating is important. So I won't say that those who are practicing spirituality abnegate sex life. Rather, you should say they sublimate their sex desire by going for a higher purpose and a higher goal.